Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be working on the SS. What I need to do is actually change the front strut. And the reason I want to change that is because I believe the strut has failed. This is a 2015 Chevy SS, so this comes with magnetic ride suspension. So these shocks do have the mag ride feature on it. I don't see any visible failure, so sometimes whenever these fail, they tend to leak, but I don't have that problem. So the reason I want to change this out is because if I go over bumps, I'm starting to hear like a thud sound coming from this side of the car. And I have already changed out the strut mount. I actually did that last year, and I even changed the sway bar end links. So what I have right now is these Super Pro heavy duty sway bar end links. That did not fix my issue. So I'm starting to believe that it's the strut itself that failed. So I'm going to be showing how to take this apart. It's actually pretty straightforward. I've done it in the past already to replace the strut mount. But this time I'm actually replacing the whole strut. So what I did is I ordered a new one from Rock Auto and it came in already. So I picked this one up for about 630 bucks shipped. It was actually the cheapest. I found it the cheapest on Rock Auto. Everywhere else it was like at least $700 to $800. So that one came in. That's the part number right there for the front driver's side. And then I picked up this strut spring compressor. I got this from AutoZone. I think it was like $50, $55, but you pretty much go up there, tell them that you need this, you pay for it, and then once you're done using it, you return it and get your money back. So I believe this is all really that I'm gonna need. And the reason I need this is because once I get the old strut out, I need to transfer the spring and maybe a couple other items over to this new one and then put it back in. All right, so I already got the front end sitting on jack stands. You will need to let the front end suspension sag. So I have the car jacked up. I have it on jack stands on this side and on that side. And then next I got to do is just take off the wheel. Once I have the wheel off, then I can start taking some bolts and nuts off. All right, so I got the front wheel off, and next I'm gonna start off by taking this off. And then I'm gonna loosen this up. I'm not gonna take off the nut all the way, but I am just gonna get it loose. So that way, once I'm done taking off all the bolts and nuts down here, I can just twist the nut off and take that off up here. Okay, so I will be using my impact to loosen that up. I believe it's a 24 mil, 24 socket. So that's what I'm gonna use to loosen this up. And then after that, we'll have to take off these two right here, disconnect this sensor right here, and then disconnect the sway bar end link. So some of the lines that you see here, you will have to twist and turn so that way they come out. And pull up on that tab and then pinch. Next, I got to take off these two bolts and then this one back here. So this nut here is for the sway bar end link. Now, if you're having trouble trying to get these out, you can use a hammer and maybe like another bolt and then tap it out. Just be careful not to damage the threads or anything like that. This one out. All right, so once this is unbolted from the strut, You can kind of let this hang. It's being supported by the control arm, and just make sure the brake line isn't being pulled on, and it's not, so I think this is okay. So I think we got the strut pretty much free now. Okay, so I have the strut sitting up here. So before we start taking anything else off, we need to compress the spring. If you don't compress the spring, you are just asking for it. This spring could come flying off. It could hit you, could damage other things, you know. Just, we need to compress the spring. So that's why I went and I picked that stuff up from AutoZone. So I'm gonna put one on each side and just take turns compressing the spring. And once the spring's compressed and it's able to move around in here, that means we are ready to start taking off the nuts here, start taking off the strut mount bushing and everything else off. So the spring's pretty loose now in here. It's compressed. I'm able to move this around. So now I should be able to start taking the strut mount bushing. One thing I want to bring up is pay close attention to the order and orientation of the parts as you take them off, because you'll need to put them back in the same way. Okay, so here I have the new strut, and I need to move over this boot cover and then start putting everything back together. So this is a pretty simple process. You just take everything off, and then that I'm showing here, and then transfer it over to the new strut. So here I'm using zip ties to hold the boot down at the top, and I did the same thing at the bottom, just like how it came from factory. All right, so we got the strut assembled all back, okay, and it's ready to go back. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it in from underneath, and then try to put this little top hat and then this nut just to keep it up here. I'm not gonna bolt or torque anything down. I just wanna put the nut on so that way it can be held up here. So again, I just wanted to make sure I got a couple of threads engaged here, and then I just need to start bolting everything back up from underneath. All right, so with the strut finally installed back in, everything's been bolted up and torqued down to spec. This one I still need to finish tightening up, but it is on there. This nut is holding this top part up. What I'm gonna do is put the wheels back on, and on both sides, put the car back on the floor, and then I'll come back up here and tighten that up, and then that should really be it. And then I'll take it out for the drive and see if this new strut has fixed my issue with that thumping sound that I've been hearing. I'll keep you guys updated.